You're listening to the IncGamers podcast, presented by IncGamers, sponsored by IncGamers. My name is Peter Parrish. I'm here with Paul Younger. Hello, Paul.
G'day.
I'm also here with Tim McDonald. Hello, Tim.
Hello. Who am I sponsored by?
IncGamers.
Oh.
I mean, unless, I don't know, are you like a pro gamer? Do you have sort of a Mountain Dew sponsoring you, maybe?
Tim, are you an athlete?
No.
Yes, are you a pro athlete gamer?
No, I'm
a man.
Well, I was going to say I'm the least fit person on this podcast, but that's clearly not true.
We get, man, it would be quite an exercise to see who that is. It really could be any one of us.
It would literally be an exercise, yes.
I don't want to get involved in that. Not at all.
Well, that's you out running, men, while we're carrying on with extending this terrible pun metaphor.
I have been known to be able to do some push-ups. I don't know where that puts me in the scale of gamers writers.
Oh, that I'd love to see.
Some push-ups. Yeah, you know what we should do for New Year's? We should all join a gym and try to become the most fit games journalists in the world.
No, definitely not.
Who do you think is the most fit games journalist? I'm struggling to think. I'm trying to think if I've seen anyone who just looks really buff and they work out all the time. And I think the answer is no. I haven't really seen anyone like that.
Yeah, it's going to be me. I'm going to be this time next year. I will be the most fit games journalist in the world, and I mean that.
I reckon
both senses of the word fit.
I reckon Adam Sessler. He also looks quite energetic. I reckon he's probably quite. I think he could go a few miles.
That's just a combination of coffee and Mountain Dew.
Coffee. You sure it's not some sort of magical space dust that he might be augmenting his presentational style with? I have wondered on occasion.
Are we claiming drug allegations, Peter? Do you want to go on record with this?
No, I'm going to move on from that because I've just remembered someone who is I was listening to one of the Giant Bomb podcasts, and one of those guys had run some sort of San Francisco-based marathon, so it's probably whoever that person was. I don't remember which one it was. I mean, Alex.
I'm going to, and carrying on with the dreadful extended metaphor we've got going, I'm going to overtake him by this time next year.
Okay. That's, I'm going to hold, well, I'm going to say I'm going to hold you to that, but I'll have forgotten in about an hour, so I probably
Thanks,
won't.
It's good to know you care so much about me.
Yes. Well, because we'll have talked about so much amazing PC gaming news and releases instead.
Is this news so amazing that it can actually overshadow my promise to do exercise?
Oh, the news is so amazing that we've rambled on about who's the fittest games journalist for about 5 minutes already. That's
Get on with it.
Stalling the time.
Oh, come on.
All right. Okay. Tim, Wraith-Night in Dota 2. What's that all about?
It's the latest massive patch that Valve's Dota 2 team have shunted onto the service and kind of slammed down our throats in an attempt to make us spend money for pixels.
That's cynical man. It's working though, isn't it? Because you were weakening earlier this week. You were saying you wanted to spend 20 quid or something on.
Yeah.
What do you want to spend 20 quid on?
On some cosmetic stuff. In fairness, it's cheaper on the Steam Marketplace. It's only like 17 quid there.
Oh, wow.
Ideally, I don't actually want to pay for it. I want someone else to buy it for me, because I can't bring myself to spend money on cosmetic stuff.
Are you begging the IncGamers podcast listeners to buy you cosmetic Dota 2 tat?
Well, if you're referring specifically to Fiery Soul of the Slayer, which is the leaner cosmetic item, no, I'm actually not.
Okay. Good. Well, aside from rampant consumerism, what has Frostivus / Legion Commander / Wraith-Night, whatever it's called now, brought to Dota 2?
Well, Peter, it's brought Frostivus, Wraith-Night, and Legion Commander. Well done for making.
I was hoping for.
Okay.
What are those things?
Frostivus is kind of the Dota Christmas equivalent, and it's cancelled every year. Last year it was cancelled in favour of the Grieveling, which I wasn't around for because I wasn't playing Dota then. And this year it's been cancelled for Wraith-Night, with the hero Skeleton King. He's fallen apart, he's crumbling a bit. So he's performing some kind of ritual to sort of reincarnate himself in a slightly more fleshy, durable body. And Wraith-Night mode is essentially tower defense to some extent. You're sat there defending his comatose body from waves of monsters and enemies that come in. And doing this gets you shards or fragments, which you can redeem for cosmetic items.
So
Which is quite nice.
let me get this straight, Tim. It's exactly the same as Dota is normally.
No, Paul, because Dota normally is competitive 5v5. This is co-op 5-player defense.
Okay, I'm just clearing that up because the old games look the same to me. People running up lanes and things.
I know. The MOBAs, all the shooters look the same as well.
Yeah,
You mean
shooting
all games?
things.
Yeah, you just mean all games look the same.
Yeah, pretty much.
Have you become that old that it's just they're all the same now? These games with their
It's
graphics.
games. He runs a games website, everyone.
They
Yeah,
do all
Wraith
look the same
Night's quite good fun. I've been enjoying it. It changes up the heroes and the items. It actually requires sort of different thought process to usual. It's quite nice. It involves a bit of strategy and tactics, and some of the battles kind of make me think of MMO boss battles in terms of needing people to take care of different tasks. Yeah, it's quite neat. It's a nice little mode to play around with every now and then. Other than that, you've got Legion Commander, who's a new hero and is one of the ones who's been basically nearly done for about 6 or 7 months now. I actually thought she was going to be added in the previous patch, but that turned out to be Earth Spirit and Ember Spirit. And she seems quite good. I haven't really had a play with her yet because everyone I play with keeps picking her first. Other than that, let me think. Ranked matchmaking was added, which is pretty much exactly the same as regular matchmaking, except that your rating is actually displayed, so you can see how terrible you are in comparison to everybody else on the planet.
Now, I know something about the ranked matchmaking because I had to do a patch post. So the thing I know about the ranked...
I just want to say I read that. It was very good. I was impressed. I'm rubbing off on you, clearly.
Thanks.
Oh God, please no.
Not like that. Yeah, the matchmaking didn't work very well, I guess, because they patched it, so that's all I knew, really.
Okay.
Bit underwhelming.
Was that ranked matchmaking or was that all matchmaking?
Yeah, I think the ranked one, I don't know. I just
Okay.
remember some patch notes saying they'd tweak the matchmaking. The ranked matchmaking.
I pretty much just assume that the matchmaking is a crapshoot anyway. But
Fair enough.
although I have recently, every time I've played recently, I've just thought, why is it matching me up with these complete idiots who clearly don't know how to play? And then I actually went and played a few games with a couple of newer guild members who've sort of only played for 5 to 10 hours, and my god, those games were even worse. I kind of thought I was playing with bottom of the barrel stuff before, and then, oh dear. You forget how difficult it is when you're new to the game.
It's like enough guild members to...
Yeah, so yeah, if you're in the IncGamers guild, that is what your leader thinks of you.
Thinks you're shit.
I hate them. No, it's not so much that. It's because I don't mind it so much when it's people in the guild, because I can tell them what they're doing wrong. I can actually coach them, particularly now that coaching has been put in. But it's just some of the utterly bizarre builds you see. Some of the item choices that are made, it's weird. There again, people seem to do this all the time in higher ranked games as well. It's just not quite as comical as it is in the lower ranked ones, which I frankly shouldn't be playing in anyway.
Of course, Dota 2 is a game that you might be playing on your Steam machine / Steambox, of which 300 of went out to various beta testers around the US this week. That's right.
Of which 300 of.
Yeah, that's right. I like to base my grammatical...
And you just had to throw in another preposition to fuck up your own grammar.
I've been watching the Tudors, so my grammar is kind of regressing back to the 1500s, I think. Yeah, Steam boxes, Steam machines. Paul, you've been watching people take Steam machines out of boxes.
Yeah.
How's that been for you?
Well, I was like I say, and like I said in my news post, I was disappointed that it just wasn't powered by Gabe himself. He wasn't inside other than a little treadmill powering
A
it.
little mini Gabe.
A mini Gabe. I guess I don't know. I mean, look. Well, it's a PC, isn't it? Well, it's like kind of like a smaller, slightly condensed PC.
Yep.
Looks quite nicely put together. It's very compact inside. There's not a hell of a lot of room. But I mean, it does what it says on the tin, effectively. I can't remember what was in it. It was a GTX 780, I think.
In that particular one, possibly. I mean, I think they've been sending out different configurations. Holy shit! Tim's donned a Christmas hat.
Oh, holy crap! What the hell is that? Oh, so festive. I feel so left out now.
I thought I'd be festive.
Very good.
Although, are we doing a podcast next week? Can I interject? Because that'll be Christmas Eve, I think. We're doing a Christmas special.
I'll wear
all the best bits.
Okay. In that case, I'll move. I'll take this off. I'll save that for next week.
No, it's fine. It's pretty Christmassy right now. You know.
Yeah, put it back on, Tim. There you go.
Yeah, let's have. There we go.
There you go.
Beautiful.
I mean, what was I saying before he so rudely pulled his hat on?
Talking about how Gabe Newell isn't inside the Steam machines.
Yeah, he's not inside the Steam machine.
But how a graphics card is, which is good to know.
Yeah, so I don't know. Well, the Steam OS was released, I think, around the same time. So I think a lot of people have been trying to either get a machine, effectively create their own Steam box with any hardware lying around, or using VirtualBox, which I think was something else that we had up on the site too, just to sort of emulate. Put another OS on the same machine as Windows Box, and I think it's Corey Nelson who'd been putting all these great videos up. He'd basically managed to dual boot the Steam box, so it was both running Windows and Steam OS, which is not a bad way to do it, because effectively you're getting a PC then, really. It's I don't know. I'm just so torn on this. I don't know whether it's a good thing, a bad thing, whether there's any benefit to it at all. I'm so on the fence on it, really, because it's just a PC.
I think it's just a thing. I think it's just
a thing.
Another way of possibly getting into the PC, which is fine by me, really.
So, but basically what we have here is Valve are now building PCs. Yeah. So that's really what it is, and they're bugging.
Well, when you get down to it, the current console crop also are pretty much PCs. You know, they've got a sort of AMD processor graphics combo in them. They've got some RAM. They've got a motherboard. You know, if you open up the Xbox One, it's going to look pretty similar to the Steam box, really, just with more fans, I think.
I like the look of it. I mean, it's a black box. What more is there to say about it? Really, it's not bad. Whether I'd buy one or not, probably not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I've said it before on the podcast. I probably would be interested in a sort of streaming type one. You know, a little cheap box that then keep updating the desktop and just stream stuff from that into the living room for certain games where it seems like a good idea. And yeah, that's right, the living room.
No! It mustn't go in the living room!
As I've said before, I want one, I'm just not quite sure why.
Look, if you want to go in the living room, go and buy an X-Bone or something and just be done with it.
Well, currently in the living room I get the laptop out and, you know, play some Crusader Kings or something like that, but I wouldn't mind having TV access as well for some of the other games, some of the other 100 billion games that I've got on Steam, so I don't know. That's my opinion of that. I don't have a good way to move into a different story now like I did last time, unfortunately.
Oh, you think that was a good way to move into another story?
It wasn't bad, it involved Valve.
It was a half decent segue, but it was half decent by virtue of being quite bad and tenuous, I suppose.
The only type I know. I saw I think it was Paul that saw last week that Kotaku claimed to have got hold of a Fallout 4 script, sort of casting call script, which is an interesting follow-up to the whole Survivor 2299 site hoax, only because this script shared a lot of bizarre similarities with the sort of fiction that site was going with, which we, after the fact, learned was basically the hoaxer's script for a mod, effectively. So it's kind of weird if this casting script is real in any way, and we don't really know if it is because we only have Kotaku's word of it to go on. Really,
was it really not a hoax then?
Well, yeah, exactly. Was it inadvertently real because his version is quite similar?
Maybe it was real. Maybe it was just a great marketing ploy by Bethesda to say, "Haha, it's a hoax."
The hoax is part of the marketing. Well, man, we're going. This is like marketing inception.
Yeah,
about 3 layers deep.
But interestingly enough, the guys at Kotaku saying that they sat on that piece of news for 2 weeks while the 22.99 stuff was going on.
Yeah.
Now, were they told to sit on it for 2 weeks?
I don't know. I'm not sure why you would take that decision. Really, if we were in the same position and we had this supposed Fallout 4 script, why would we have sat on it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. The whole thing's just a little bit weird.
Well, yeah, the script itself was strange because it had. Bearing in mind it's allegedly from some sort of casting thing, so it's not necessarily the finished final script or anything. It could all just be examples for people to read, but it appeared to have like a voiced player, which of course the Fallout games have not had, so that's a bit weird as well.
That kind of puts me into two thoughts. I mean, one is that it could have just been the dialogue responses. Yeah,
true.
Or the other is that, it's actually a game called Survivor whatever, and it's just a third-person shooter.
No!
Well, no, the scripts had Fallout 4 all over them, the images of the scripts. It was sort of the intro bit that Ron Perlman usually reads, of course, so then it led to a lot of people going like, oh, so does that mean Ron Perlman won't be in the next one, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's right. That was voiced by the player, supposedly, wasn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, the similarities were, not incredible similarities. The fact that it might be set in Boston and revolve around the Institute is not amazing because those rumours have flown around for a while. Putting it on the East Coast again isn't too outlandish, and if you put it in Boston, you then inevitably going to address the Institute because that's kind of already in Fallout. Story canon, etc. But the specifics of you would be playing as the player for a bit before the bombs drop and stuff like that. It was things like that kind of coincided a little weirdly with the supposedly hoax website.
Hoax?
Yeah. So I don't know what's real anymore. The website, the scripts,
is this real?
Any of it.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
Oh, please no.
Landslide.
Escape from reality?
No escape. No escape from the vault. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, inevitably, a new Fallout is going to be worked on because Bethesda like money. But whether these things are relating to it, I don't know.
So Peter, you're calling this a hoax, yeah?
I'm saying I think the site was a hoax. I think these casting scripts are of dubious.
So you're calling them a hoax? I'm just checking.
I'm not prepared to call them a hoax. I don't know. It's really annoying because.
So you think it's genuine?
Because you listen, Taxman.
This is the VGX all over again.
What's always really annoying as a journalist, and I'm sure Kotaku found themselves in this situation, is that they have said, look, we've had this confirmed by 2 sources as real. They then have to protect their sources because they don't want to get someone fired from some casting studio over some stupid Fallout story, which is perfectly fine. But then all you have to go on is the journalist going, no, we've totally had it confirmed from these 2 sources, which are totally real. We're not going to give you any evidence of that. And then, what do you have to go on, really, as a reader? The trust in the site, which, sorry, Kotaku, but you don't have a great history. So I'm not necessarily prepared to believe you. And then, you're left in the same position of not knowing whether it's hoax or whether it is real. So
you think it's genuine?
Yes. I think it's 100% genuine.
Tim, give it up.
I think it's
Got my
100%
answer.
genuine hoax. A completely genuine hoax. 100%.
Brilliant.
Yep. Well, that's the end of the big important news. What else do I have on my list here? Oh yeah, there was some multiplayer mods released for two games that perhaps could not be more different. Just Cause 2 and Euro Truck Simulator 2.
Yes.
That depends on how you play them.
Can you play Euro Truck Simulator 2 like Just Cause 2? Because Tim, you've got Euro Truck Simulator 2.
No, I haven't played it yet, but I will give it a try. I mean, I'll give it a try playing it like Just Cause 2.
Playing as Rico Rodriguez gets the truck business.
Dave Scorpion, as we called it in my flat when it first came out, when we sat there in the kitchen playing it.
I wish Bolo Santosi was in Euro Truck Simulator.
Sorry?
I said I wish Bolo Santosi was in Euro Truck Simulator 2.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Honestly, I just wish most of this stuff were in Euro Truck Simulator 2. I mean, Just Cause 2, let's be fair, it didn't really have the best story or the best characters, but it was very funny if you read between the lines and kind of attached actual personalities to the characters. That's exactly what we did. It was great.
Yeah, well, I mean, have either of you tried the multiplayer mod for Just Cause 2? I
remember hearing about it ages ago, like 2 years ago. I think they were working on it, something like that. And I was tempted to kind of hop into it then, and I thought, you know what, it's going to be buggy. I'll wait until it comes out, and then I just completely forgot about it until now.
The best part of it, as far as I can see, is that it has an upper player limit on servers of like 3,000, which is just fantastic.
Just Cause the MMO.
Pretty much.
Basically. You basically, as far as I can tell, you just parachute in one of the pre-designated spawn points, and it's just fucking chaos based on what I've seen from the videos. Because there's just hundreds of people running around, gunning people down, gunning each other down, grappling on everything, driving the cars into the sea.
This sounds like GTA Online, only with more people.
Possibly, yeah, quite possibly,
and significantly better.
Yeah, maybe. I haven't played GTA Online, but
GTA doesn't have grappling hooks, so.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, can't be as good.
Do you know if you can run other mods alongside this multiplayer thing? Like, can you use the one that gives you the like 4-way grapple, stuff like that?
I don't. That might be, I don't know, that might break it even more than it may possibly break on its own accord. But
I'm just figuring if the server had those installed. Yeah, I don't know. Curious thought.
Yeah, it's probably based on maybe what the server's hosting. Yeah, which could be. Oh man, just even more chaos were it needed, which it's not. I'm out of news, guys. That's pretty much
what? Every week.
Well, we have been talking for like 25 minutes.
Okay.
20 minutes.
Yeah, most of that was about who's the fittest games.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's see. Off my memory banks, just because it is the
interesting. I mean, don't force it.
Just because it is the podcast, and I have to mention it every week. Star Citizen.
God, why?
Right, just this is especially for Tim. This bit of news. Oh dear. Today they actually announced that they've delayed the dogfighting module, which was supposed to be at the end of the year, which effectively was a sort of ship flight and combat test. But they decided.
Thank God, I thought they were talking about real dogfighting there. I was worried.
No, they're not fighting real dogs. That would be illegal. So this is now been pushed back for a couple of months. They say that basically it's not quite ready. The server architecture or whatever it is in the game engine, which basically allows them to do what they really want to do to show it off, is not ready, and that's going to take a couple more months. But on the same token, they do say that they've actually ramped the studio up quicker than they had thought, thanks to all the lovely funds people like Tim have been giving them over the last couple of months or so. So
He disputes that claim.
yeah. So we'll have to hang on a bit longer. So while Elite Dangerous is now testing out its combat stuff, Star Citizen is not. So, I mean, they're the two big ones to watch if you're into space stuff, I guess. So we'll have to hang on and see what happens next year.
Oh, well, I suppose you could also watch out for the Star Wars Attack Squadron that's just been announced today, but that is free to play, and it looks a little bit bare bones to me, so wouldn't necessarily...
Here's the thing with that, right? The only reason I probably would have gone back and played Old Republic was to go and try the space combat. Now I don't even have to. I don't have to bother with all the MMO shit. I'll just wait for this to come out, and then I'll try it. Try it some sort of dogfighty space Star Warsy stuff when this new thing comes out. But yeah,
it's hard to say what it's going to be like because the little trailer doesn't really show you. So who knows? It's got some spaceships in it.
Well,
probably some X-wings.
It's not going to be. It's not going to be XV TIE, is it? Really?
No, it's not. It's going to be microtransactions ahoy, I think, in a free-to-play type way. Yeah, disappointing.
I've got one piece of news I want to bring up just because it made me laugh.
Good.
Ubisoft delayed something on PC.
Oh yeah. Did you laugh, Tim? Because I actually cut out a bit of a snigger.
I was a bit sad because I was supposed to be reviewing this, but now I can't because it's not out yet.
Well, it's still quite funny though. You have to. They've been doing things mostly right recently with the PC. Yeah. Like Rocksmith came out at the right time. We've even had some DLC before the consoles, and Rayman, all that. Everything was fine. Watch Dogs was delayed for everybody, so that's all right. Yeah. And then DLC, delayed for PC.
This is also a classic bit of sort of publisher communication as well, because it took as long as people basically going onto their forums going like, so how do you download it for the PC version then? And then eventually someone came along in the forums and went, oh yeah, we've delayed it for a few days. Thanks for letting us know, Ubisoft. There's that PR communication.
It's probably just because they knew I would react like this. It's my fault.
The thing is, it's like DLC. They know when it's coming out. They kind of know it's all planned out. Why? Why is it delayed?
To add a final layer of polish, I believe they said.
Yes, to add polish. That means they haven't finished it yet. We all know what that means.
Well, no, that just means that it's buggy as fuck, but they don't have the option of delaying it on consoles.
Yeah. Oh, controversial. Wait, no, not controversial. Just true. So maybe the PC version will work better, so that's good, I suppose. We'll find out when it comes out and I have a look at it.
I bet they would actually have released it today, except that they discovered that you were going to be reviewing it because you asked for us. They thought, shit, if we want to get higher than a 2, we're actually going to have to fix some bugs.
Yeah, I noticed keeping the good old review score average nice and low today, Peter.
Mm.
Oh, with the Speedball 2. Yeah, well, it was garbage, so it got an appropriate score.
I dispute that on
Really?
the basis of the one match that I've played for 15 minutes or whatever it was. It was quite easy, but it was okay.
Quite easy, but were some more of a 5 for you? Or?
Obviously, no, that's a 9, obviously.
9.
And this is obviously extensive experience I have with it. So
yeah. No, I quite liked it at first, but
I did want to reignite. I'm kind of sad because we don't get involved in console wars anymore, except when people assume we're an Xbox site for some reason. So I just want to point out that the Atari ST was much better than the Amiga, Peter.
What?
Yeah, the ST version was great.
The ST's great.
I don't even know you.
Is that's all you're going to get from him?
Damn, I was hoping to incite some sort of big fiery argument.
Yeah, let's have a massive retro war. That'll go down well.
Fucking STs. What's wrong with you? Amiga all the way. Especially for Speedball 2. Yeah. Well, no, someone did, of course, come into our Readers' Awards, which you can carry on voting on, everybody, if you haven't done so already, and said, where's GTA 5? Well, I mean, I know we've written quite a lot about GTA 5, but the reason we did was mostly asking for wondering where the PC version was, which is why it's not in our awards, because it wasn't out on the PC.
Yeah. It's quite hard to say it's one of the better games on PC when it's not on PC.
Likewise, we haven't got League of Legends in there because League of Legends wasn't released this year. Also, as much as we support people doing write-in campaigns and making good use of the other box that we have on there, the people who are trying to get PlanetSide 2 to win Best Shooter or Best Free-to-Play or both, I don't know. Bad news, it came out last year, so that can't win, I'm afraid. It will get an honourable mention, though, if you get enough votes for it. So,
I would like to point out, much as we support write-in campaigns, Call of Duty Ghosts is shit.
yes. Call of Duty Ghost is shit, and that's not going to win, even if it wins legitimately. I'm going to rig the votes.
Are you saying that you're rigging the votes?
He can't rig the votes.
Only for Call of Duty Ghosts. No, I actually can't. I don't actually have the technical finesse to be able to do that. So.
I know.
Oh well, that's a shame.
Okay, if Call of Duty Ghosts wins, I will be disgusted and horrified, and I will write something incredibly snarky about it. But it will remain the winner.
Yes, fair enough.
I just hate you all even more than I.
No one's going to vote. I think Bioshock Infinite is leading in shooters at the moment, which is fair enough. Tim, what are you doing?
Dropping things.
Throwing things around. Should we talk about some games? There are still some games coming out, amazingly.
There's loads of games coming out. It's really weird. It's almost like Black Friday isn't a thing on PC, where games release all the time, particularly in these periods when there are no AAA releases, or very few.
See, I'm also sure that indie devs want nobody to have a holiday. And they just mail you going, here's a key, here's a key, here's a key, review it, here's a key, here's a key.
Yeah.
Christmas, guys!
Please. I do feel like it would be terrible trying to get coverage as an indie dev now, though, considering how many billions of games there are released through Steam pretty much every week.
There are so many games that I've played for a few hours or whatever that I want to write about. I just don't have the time. There are just so many of these wonderful little things.
I mean, you have a dilemma. We can either try and address it and do very short pieces on them, which is possibly doing a disservice because it's only based on a couple of hours of play, but at least we're covering it, or we can do what we do now and ignore them.
See, I don't know. I kind of like the first idea. I mean, we've been talking about doing sort of little quick play articles for months now, in terms of being quite honest and saying we have only spent 2 or 3 hours playing this, but giving thoughts based on the time and not actually assigning a score to it. They're not full-fledged reviews because obviously we finish everything in the review.
We could just have a running article that we dump in 300, 400 word thoughts on a game that we get a key to review, and then once we've got 4 or 5 games in it, just run it.
Possibly.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's another possibility.
Oh, well, we can ask the readers, they can let us know.
Yeah.
What
do you want what indie game coverage? We can try. It's just difficult because there's only 3 of us and lots of games.
I think that you mean there's only 2 of us and Paul.
Oh, thanks.
If it's an ARPG or free to play, he's your man.
Hey, look.
Man, what a terrible fate.
I know. See, I started an indie game this week, but it didn't go well.
Oh, right.
Oh, yes. Tell us about this, Paul. It was the Welsh one, wasn't it?
No, I was feeling a bit ropey the other night, so I thought I'd fire up Master Reboot, but I was feeling a bit nauseous before I started, and I ended up in this child's playground, moving shapes around, and I don't know, I just started getting really queasy, and I just had to get out. I had to get out, man.
I had to get out, man.
So, yeah, which is weird. I usually, if I'm really hungry or feeling a bit ropey, if I play anything in first person, it makes me go a bit barfy. So it wasn't like I was playing a shooter. It wasn't exactly running around. I was just mincing around some bloody swings on a roundabout. But it was enough to set me going.
Did you enjoy what you played?
I did, yeah. It was actually... It's kind of like one of the games, like so many games you play these days, you're kind of shown where everything is and you have what to do with everything. With this, it kind of lets you use your brain a little bit, which I quite like. I get so fed up playing games where it's like, oh, there's the quest marker, or, go here, do that, do this. So just the little puzzle elements and stuff are quite fun, and it just subtly shows you things, which is a good game. A game that can teach you about the game while actually playing it is a good game.
Yeah, I think I've actually played it even less than you have, because I picked it up back at launch because I thought this looks really interesting, and then I promptly didn't have any time to play it. But it's quite creepy and surreal. I really like the atmosphere.
Yeah, I was in the room and I picked up the rubber duck. When you pick up the duck for the first, it goes like a squeak. Ellie turned around and goes, "What the fuck is that duck?" Because it kept squeaking. Yeah, it's pretty surreal. Yeah, there's basically rubber ducks and ducks, which are kind of like memory holding devices. Ducks,
yeah.
Weird.
Naturally, you'll have to find the rubber ducks that are scattered around them. Actually, you don't have to, if I remember rightly, but
yeah. Anyway, the child's playground defeated me, much like in my youth. The playground defeated me.
It's sort of a exploratory puzzle type of game.
Exploratory puzzle horror, I think.
Yeah,
right.
Because there are bits. From the two bits I'd seen, there was one point where a creepy ghost girl appeared and started chasing me. And there was another point, I think it was a giant teddy bear. Can't remember that bit.
That doesn't sound quite so bad.
Well, it was... I'm trying to remember how that bit plays out, actually. I think you're trying to run away from it, and there's a wall in front of you that's made up of like spam boxes, like pop-ups, and you have to keep clicking on them to get rid of them while this thing is just lurching towards you.
There was a bit like that in Mag Runner, where you had to use your gravity gun thing to lift boxes out of the way in a hurry while a sort of Lovecraftian creature was encroaching upon you, which worked quite well because you started losing motor skills quite quickly. Oh, this should be really easy. Why is this not easy?
Yeah, Master Reboot is one of those things that I really want to spend more time with. It is yet another one of the aforementioned games that I've played a bit and I want to play a bit more and then write something about, because it's the sort of thing that seems interesting and quirky enough to deserve a bit of coverage, which is I'm fairly happy we're talking about it now.
We've given it some coverage. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going back into it because it kind of, as surreal as it starts, it kind of it does pull you in to want to keep seeing what the hell is going on, and I think that it's enough to make me go back into it now that I'm feeling a little bit better.
I think that's the key. Don't be ill while trying to play.
No, not first person games.
No, definitely not.
I just actually, when I was doing that and I felt queasy, I just thought, my God, this is how I'd probably feel in the Oculus.
Yeah.
Is that one Oculus compatible? Do we know?
Don't think it is.
Okay.
The only... Well, actually, there are loads of horror games that are Oculus compatible, and I'm just currently not watching any of them.
Outlast.
I don't think that isn't natively released. I think it works if you get like the third-party drivers. Slender the Arrival, or pretty certain that's Oculus enabled. There's Dread Halls, which is a little indie thing where you've got to escape a randomly generated dungeon. There's just loads of little horror things built for the
See that bit in Outlast, Tim, at the beginning where the body swings down when you open the door? I'd fucking love to see you have hit that bit with the Oculus for the first time.
No, I'm not playing Outlast with the Oculus Rift. I'm just not.
Don't really blame you. I, this week, have spent some hours, a few hours, the first hours indeed, with the Banner Saga, which they sent over some preview code of. It's interesting actually, Paul, you saying like you like games that kind of don't guide you so much and don't give you all the information up front. The Banner Saga is a game very much following that principle, which I liked a lot. It's based on, sort of inspired by Viking and Norse mythology. It was Kickstarter funded about 18 months ago, actually, and they released something called the Banner Saga Factions, which was the turn-based strategic combat bit taken out of it and sort of made into a multiplayer game. But this is what people funded basically, which is the sort of RPG narrative story bits with the turn-based combat as well, of course. And I liked it a whole lot. It's one of those games where it does just kind of put you in the world and go, there you go. We're not going to dramatically explain everything that's going on here. You're probably familiar with Norse mythology. You can kind of figure out what's going on here, and through dialogue and quests, the exposition will kind of come out naturally. It won't just be a big encyclopedia entry that you can click on and go, oh, this part of the world is like this. Now I know all of this. And it does some quite interesting things with the story as well, because it switches you around from the different coasts of the world. You start off in control of basically some giants. They're kind of these horned giant things called Val, who are collecting taxes effectively for their king. They show up at a city over on the west coast of the land that you're in, and that you sort of do a bit of tutorial stuff, and it teaches you about the combat. And then some more people show up and say, hey, we're here to sort of make an alliance with the humans. And it then switches to the other coast, where you're now in charge of a guy who is basically just a kind of hunter from a village, but who eventually winds up as the chieftain of his village because his village gets attacked. This isn't too spoilery, it's very early on in the game, folks, don't worry. It gets attacked by things called the Dredge, which are these weird creatures that are emerging in the land. Possibly because the sun doesn't appear to be shining anymore in this land, which is a little bit apocalyptic and not that great for the people living there. And so basically both parties ultimately start moving towards each other across the realm. And when you're in the cities and stuff, you kind of have text-based quests and kind of dialogues, head-to-head, talking head dialogue stuff. When you're moving between cities and the game's progressing, it switches to a kind of 2D landscape where your baggage train is kind of moving across the land, and you've kind of got to keep your supplies up and possibly get into some turn-based combat along the way. A few more quests might pop up, like I don't know, you might run into some merchants who are like, hey, we can show you where some more supplies are, and you have to decide, do we trust them? Do we go with them and possibly risk a fight? Do we go, no, thanks, we'll just carry on? Usual kind of RPG choice quest stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it, because I only had the first few hours to play with, so it was kind of an introduction to the mechanics basically. But I really like what they're doing with it so far. It seems like a story that credits its audience with some intelligence to pick up on subtle clues and to pick up what this game is about and what the culture is about in the world. And the turn-based combat's pretty good as well. It has a slightly weird, maybe not weird, but unique system whereby characters have both armor and strength stats. And if you hit them for strength, the strength is also their hit points. So if you damage them, they also become weaker. But if you're ignoring breaking their armor, then it's more difficult to whittle down their points because they have a lot of armor still. It's very difficult to explain.
Can I give it a go? Because I think I actually understand how it works.
Sure.
You have strength and armor. Strength is both your hit points and the damage you do. And the damage you do is reduced by armor. So you can either attack the armor so that all subsequent attacks will do more damage, or you can attack strength, in which case they not only lose health but will do less damage subsequently.
Yes. And there's an added kind of quirk to this as well, because the characters all take turns sequentially, no matter how many people are left in your team, until there's only one person left on either team. So even if it's like 6 versus 3, you're still taking turns. So bizarrely, it can be quite advantageous to not kill a character off, but just to leave them with like 2 strength, which basically means they can barely damage anyone. and thereby kind of force the AI to keep using them every now and again in a turn. Because if you kill them off, then the guys they have left are all stronger, and they're still getting to move them as frequently as you're moving your guys, which is a bit weird. And I don't know if that's a great idea. I like the rest of the combat. I'm not sure. I mean, it kind of, yeah, it encourages you to basically cripple people but not kill them off, which is an interesting approach.
War Crimes Parish strikes again.
The game made me do it, man.
Does the AI abuse that as well? Because if it does, then that seems like a perfectly fair tactic. If it doesn't, it seems exploitative.
The AI, from what I've observed, tends to focus on your sort of strongest character, and then once he's no longer your strongest character, kind of focuses on the next strongest one. So kind of, yeah.
Right.
And occasionally they would do something reasonably intelligent, like I had an archer hanging back that was just kind of bombarding them with fire arrows at one point, and they did start attacking her, which was the intelligent thing to do because she was wrecking them. So that's good. They seemed pretty responsive, and I found the battles pretty difficult, actually. Quite often I'd have people injured by the end of it. And that is one thing that I'm not totally sure about. It seems like one of those games where it will let you carry on playing even though your situation is increasingly more hopeless and you probably should have restarted 2 or 3 battles ago. But that's, it is what it is.
I don't know, I kind of like seeing that occasionally, but then I'm the sort of masochist who plays XCOM on Iron Man difficulty.
Precisely.
Or on Iron Man mode, rather. I was going to ask, actually, one of the big things that they've been saying about this is that it's kind of your decisions matter and various branching plot lines and stuff like that, as I understand. Did you experience that much?
Yes, I did. I replayed a couple of bits to see how things played out differently. There was a point where I was able to keep a sort of named hero alive, whereas the first time round he'd been killed off. And another bit where I was trying to gain entrance to this fortress that had its gates closed. So a fairly basic thing. There was a route in where you play through a couple of fights to get in, and there's also a way where you can get in just by sort of talking your way in and paying more attention to the clues and what's going on around you as to why this place might have its doors closed, kind of thing. So yeah, no, definitely there are certainly branches in there to be explored and to take a look at. I mean, yeah, it leads you to the same place, which is you get inside the fortress. So it's linear to that extent, but there are different ways of going about things, certainly. And yeah, people in my party were being killed off left, right, and centre quite regularly, which aren't scripted. You can tend to avoid those if you know what you're doing. So
that sounds good too. That sounds a bit Fire Emblem, which is the Nintendo based tactics thingy. But in terms of that, if a character died in one of the battles, then they were dead. That was it. You could never use them again, which kind of locked you out of certain story paths and various other bits and pieces, and could also completely screw up your game if you lost too many people.
Yeah, I don't think they die in battle. Well, no, I take that back. There's 3 difficulty levels. I think on easy, people just magically recover after the battles. On normal, which is what I was playing on, they're injured for a bit and then they need to rest. I think if you play on hard, they possibly do just die.
Right.
Which would make it astonishingly difficult, I have to say. So, but hey, people, some people like playing on that kind of masochistic level, as you say. So
yes, they're called Fire Emblem players.
There you go. Some of the decision making reminded me a bit of, possibly with the art style as well, of Kings of Dragon Pass, which has a lot of kind of
such a good
text-based quest stuff. Yeah,
that was also another game which didn't explain what the hell was going on.
Right. Yeah, that too. That also reminds me of it. Yeah, you're just in charge of this village in a sort of feudal Nordic type community, and there you go, run the village. You know how this works.
And then you accidentally piss off the local neighbouring race of ducks who promptly come and burn your village to the ground.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So yeah, no, Banner Saga that's coming out in January, I think, and it's looking pretty good. I'm looking forward to it. Hoping that my Steam code just updates to the game and then I can review it. Because it's looking rather nice.
In that case, I'm hoping that your Steam code updates to the game and you can review it, and they send us another code because they're not sure if we got preview code or not.
And then you can have one.
Yeah.
Are you eyeing one up, Tim?
Sorry?
Are you eyeing one up?
I'd like to play it. It sounds pretty good from what Peter said.
It is good.
It sounds like the sort of thing I would honestly pay for if that happens. I mean, I buy lots of games, but I don't turn them down if there's freebies floating around.
God's
what have you been playing?
Hang on a minute. First of all, he's begging for his fire item for his Dota, and now he's begging for... If you got any spare Steam keys, send them to Tim.
People do that all the time anyway.
Yeah. It's what Humble Bundles and various other bundles are for.
Yeah.
But Tim, what have you played? Freebie or otherwise?
I don't know.
Or is it just Master Reboot?
I haven't. No, that's Paul that's been playing that. I haven't played that in months. That came out mid-October or something. It would have been then that I played that. I've been playing huge amounts of Dota. Obviously, that's still my go-to game.
My goodness. Yeah.
I've been playing a bit of Rocksmith again. I've been getting back into that. The continual addition of... It seems like every week that they're alternating week on week as to whether the DLC is good or execrable. So I mean, I think you had Green Day, and then you had Radiohead, and then you had Disturbed, and then you had Muse.
Right.
So yeah. You've got terrible.
So when?
Good.
So when's the good stuff coming, Tim?
Oh, damn. Is this paid DLC, by the way, or does it sort of update you with a few freebies and you can...
No, it's paid and it's very expensive.
Okay. That's a shame.
It is, but I don't know. If it remains successful, then we might get more, which is always good. It's nice to have the variety there if you're willing to shell out a little bit of cash at least and get one or two songs. I don't know what else. I've been playing more Starbound, which I think I talked about last week. My adventures in that will be kind of up on the site in a pictorial pseudo Let's Play, I guess, sometime later this week. That's probably most of what I've been playing, really. I did play a very weird little roguelike. I'm not sure how recent it is, called One Way Heroics.
Okay.
Where you do the standard thing, you pick your class, you pick your perks and set up your character, and then you have to just keep travelling to the right, because there's this big wall of darkness following you to the left that's destroying the land, and you just have to keep going right. You can't take too long. If you go over mountains, it's going to catch up, and you need to keep levelling up, and then eventually fight the Demon Lord to save the world from this encroaching wall of darkness, and it's quite good. It's very short in terms of each playthrough will last you maybe half an hour to an hour. It's ludicrously difficult, as all good roguelikes are. And every time you play it, chances are good that you will unlock something else, be it a new class or a new perk or something like that. And I think that cost me about $2. For that price, I would totally recommend it.
Alright.
So yeah, I've played lots of stuff, but not a great deal that's recent or that I haven't already spoken about, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem at the moment, though, isn't there? I mean, there's lots of good little games around, and there's only so many hours in the day. It's actually really quite frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of we've got a few further pieces of review code in. If I get a bit of time, I will take a look at one or two of those, which kind of comes down to the issue of what content we've got coming up, I suppose.
What an amazing lead-in you've given me there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well, your Starbound piece that you mentioned just then, obviously, will be going up pretty soon, maybe even when this podcast is up. I just today received the first episode of Walking Dead Season 2, so I'll be playing through that tonight. And, well, obviously, as you know, if you've played these, they aren't massively long, so I'll be able to write about that relatively quickly. I might play through it twice to see what different choices make and stuff. I will have Assassin's Creed 4 Freedom Cry DLC to look at when that actually comes out on the PC, but that could be a few days, so who knows. Paul, I think we've got a World of Warplanes review.
Yeah, I'm going back in actually to check something tonight on it. I want to double check, so but that will hopefully run this week as well. But I've just got a niggling feeling about something that I want to go and check.
And we do, of course, have our reader awards. We'll have the results of those at some point soon. We will have our own individual favourite games of the year. We'll each be writing a piece, as well as the alternative awards, which I hope will become an annual tradition.
Oh, yes, actually, yeah, that's a point. When are we going to do those? They're always like
I would imagine between Christmas and New Year, probably, because that's when there will be I can't imagine there'll be too many new releases then.
Oh, no. We'll be flooded with indie dev requests on Christmas Day.
Merry Christmas, I've sent you a review code. Thanks.
Stop fucking watching TV, go and play this.
I really like you indie devs, and I like your games, but so many codes, so very many.
On a good note, I'm probably going to have a bit of difficulty choosing my favourite games of this year because it has been a really good year for games across pretty much every genre.
Have you narrowed it down at all? Have you been thinking about it? I've narrowed mine down, I think, to sort of 4 or 5.
Well, in that case, that's probably all you really need. Then
that's probably it. Yeah.
No, I haven't really because I play everything that comes out. I'm going to have a bit of a tough time. I've got 2 or 3 things that I think are shoo-ins, but I haven't filled in the other slots yet. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, good. Paul, how about you?
Well, my list is all the games that I wanted to play but didn't play. That will be my list.
If I had time to play this for more than an hour, this would probably be my game of the year.
Yeah.
It will just be every game he's played this year.
Well, it's really difficult. It's really difficult thinking back on this because I've played a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily new stuff for this year. I've played a few bits and pieces that I've really enjoyed, but not nearly enough, and that's incredibly frustrating. Like I can look at my Steam library and go, oh, what? I've got like a couple of hours. What can I do in a couple of hours? You know, it's really difficult. That's why I ended up on Master Reboot, which ultimately was not the best decision when you're not feeling well.
Yeah, see, I told you, Paul, when you're feeling ill, you should play some Paradox games because they're just a map, some nice soothing scrolling around a map of Europe and maybe Asia and stuff.
See, I agree and disagree with this because on the one hand, there is a chance that it might, send you to sleep or relax you at the very least because it's very calming, very soothing. Unless the sight of maps and really confusing interfaces sends you into an incoherent rage, in which case it might not be the best. Although I should say, from what Peter has told me, Europa Universalis 4 and so on, they have much less confusing interfaces now. So
they're still confusing. They're just less confusing.
That's really
it's sort of like
I played Europa Universalis. Well, I say I played Europa Universalis 2. I stared at Europa Universalis 2.
Once you've learned the interface for one of them, you're pretty much good to go now. Because it took me a while to get used to Crusader Kings 2, but because I played that, playing EU4 was pretty straightforward.
I think what Tim's trying to say here is that he's wanting that Dominions 4 review code.
Yeah, coming up, we'll also have a Dominions 4, maybe.
I've been waiting for that for a while, Peter. I want to read your thoughts on it.
Yeah, Peter.
But Walking Dead. I've got to play the Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, Assassin's Creed. I like that you're filling yourself up with as much stuff as possible to avoid getting stuck to that game with its slightly ludicrously detailed everything.
Slightly ludicrously detailed.
Ludicrously detailed everything.
Anyway, ignoring Dominions 4, currently up on the site. We have a preview of the Banner Saga, Speedball 2 HD review, Crusader Kings 2, Sons of Abraham DLC. Man, I've just written everything. basically, is what's been up on the site, except for Paul's mouse Logitech mouse review, which is also there. You can have a read of that.
Oh, I'm going to give a shout out to Drakes, who did the Crusader sort of Let's Play thing the other night, where he actually did a very good detailed account of the Diablo 3 Crusader and starting out, listing all the new features in the game, what the new class was like, the skills, etc. Do watch that. That's the first part. He's done 2 parts now. He's having a bit of problems with his streaming at the moment, which I've got to try and help him with actually after this podcast. But do have a look and check Diablo IncGamers for all the stuff that's going on there. Also, there's a quite fun competition up in Diablo IncGamers today, which basically it's like a Christmas costume contest where you basically have to dress your character up in the most ridiculous outfit, Christmas-looking, sparkly, uncolor coordinated armor as possible, and we're giving copies away of the game and stuff like that. It's quite fun, so do check that out too.
Do you get bonus points if you yourself dress up in something that mirrors the outfit that your character is wearing?
No, there's an idea. There is an idea. But also,
I'm gonna go win now. Too late. I'm going to go and win.
Just quickly as well, there's also up on the site, I think today is there's a special Inferno Legends item. Inferno Legends is a new MMO that's just launched today. You can get a code from the site that will give you lots of bonus stuff to get started in the game, and also a special exclusive item that is exclusive to the site, so do check that out. It's on the front, and the game is Inferno Legends.
It looks quite anime. That's my view on it.
Yeah, but see, the ads look anime, but it's the usual case of I don't think the ads always sell the game. In this
I'm
case.
not passing any judgment on it. That's
I do, because I'm not a huge.
Quite anime.
Well, I'm not a huge anime fan myself, so as soon as I see it, I kind of switch off. But yeah, do check it out though; it's there.
All right. I guess we'll will be back for a Christmas Eve podcast. Or I don't know. We could record it on Monday or something. Who knows? We'll be back next week in some form. Till then, thanks for listening, and goodbye, everybody.
Bye.